What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. This time we're heading into the Eventide Fortress with Tundra. So this fortress is one of the largest maps in the game, and because of that, there's actually some issues that brings up with Tundra. Tundra's sort of threat area is relatively close to him. He has only one projectile skill, and while it's really good, it doesn't really offer him the same amount of damage output that a ranged character would have. And because his mobility isn't amazing, it also means that you're really going to have to make sure that the areas that you're trapping are set up for more robust damage, because you don't really have the opportunity to clean it up as well. And so managing the traps that you place and your coin is going to be that much more important here. I'm gonna add in the swinging mace. It'll give us some DPS in areas that we really want it. And then we are also taking the Dragon's Lance because it's cheap. Other than that, I think we're pretty good. Gonna drop the 4-leaf clover, Mage's Clover. For the mending root, is gonna be, well, as the enemy's level grows, you wanna have a bit more HP sustain than you would on weaker enemies, and definitely one of those situations, especially when you're playing a melee hero, sorry. And that's important primarily because it's one of the big challenges of playing anybody that's close range. Close combat, you take more damage. It's pretty much guaranteed in almost any game type that the lethality increases as you're closer. And because of that, it's an inherent advantage that you need more health sustain close range heroes. Alternatively, because range heroes don't really have the same issues to work with, they can still pull aggro in relatively safe ranges, but they don't have to actually take damage the majority of the time while they're dishing it out. Still happens, of course. Some enemies just have homing attacks and like that make them really dangerous, and it's also why in general they have lower HP pools. They really don't need as much. But enough just talking about random game design points. Let's go ahead and hop into this and see how we need to defend.
You shall not be disappointed.
Okay. So we got our Oath Keeper of Arctos. We are going to open this up.
Well placed, I think.
Get those started.
But I suppose we must stop at nothing.
Now, I'm going to lose some efficiency early by placing these barricades,
for claw and tooth.
but
If we must,
they offer me a lot of benefits. Just regarding the enemies that will be coming out of here later, simply by me not having to worry about when I get time to block that area off. This map is not very heavy on go breaks, and because of that, you really want to make sure that you are managing your time really well. It also has a lower par time than Krogan Keep, so you're really not given as much time to path around the map and set things up, and so you're going to have to do a lot of it on the fly. This is probably one of the reasons this is considered a harder map. You have less time to do things. The go breaks don't really allow you to set up too much, and the map itself is still kind of large and I guess somewhat meandering as well. Now I should have actually placed my Guardian already when the map started, but I did not. That was my fault. And then we get the next bit started. We're going to take Iced Over since I don't have too many other things to manage my mana here. They should never actually get this far, so let me not worry about that yet. However, we're going to get this set up a bit.
But I suppose we must stop at nothing.
Unstable rift is opening. It must be destroyed.
Now, one of the most important things that Tundra has as a tool here is the ability to go ahead and drop that wall. We're going to now attempt to avalanche over to where this is. Missed a couple of projectiles there. That's kind of bad.
The unstable rift is
Oh.
destroyed. Enemy minions incoming.
What do we got? Couple of medium orcs. All right, when they all come out, freeze them. All right, we want to get a little bit closer to the rift. Let them, sort of run through. And not sure, we should be able to make this. That was my fault for not getting to that area fast enough. These guys should be a little bit damaged, which will help us. We're gonna have to deal with the couple that are coming from over here. We want to get them before they lock onto the rift. And there we go. This will buy us a bit of time. Okay.
Well placed, I think.
So mostly what we want to do now is sell everything that's down here. It's not going to be as efficient without us guarding it. Important to know when to sell if you're not going to be guarding a location.
I suppose it will do its duty.
It's going to take care of most of the things that are going to be coming through here. Almost everything else
Our enemies have broken through again. Steel and magic are a
will be coming through here.
I do not love these, but I suppose I love our enemy less.
Okay, and we will have a boss here eventually. So those are pretty good for helping to make sure we take care of the boss. Then we're going to set a stable hand up here. For the most part, that should be all we need. There's a few other traps that you'll want to set up here to make things easier as the map goes on. One of the most important things is just beefing up the traps that are in those two sort of corridors going from left to right. I believe that random sound effect there was the Dauntless launcher actually updating. Alright, gonna take chilled weapons. Okay.
Steel and magic are a poor substitute for claw and tooth.
Okay, so we don't want to overspend there. Overspending on this map is pretty much the fastest way to a surefire death. So stay away from that, if at all possible.
Unstable rift is open.
You can also place a Guardian here if you have the coin. It makes things a lot easier for dealing with everything that'll be coming out of that gate if you are not going to place a ton of traps. Generally speaking, if you don't have discounts, the Guardian will be more impactful a choice than almost anything else in the short term. And while I would like to beef this area up a bit, it may actually be a better choice for me than having everything placed over here.
The enemy's boss is down.
So we're gonna let the Guardian take him out. Most of the stuff that's in that room at the top should die on its own.
Hard to breathe with a shard of ice in your lungs.
Gonna let them get a little bit closer. Okay. Now, there's gonna be a few things we want to clean up here. These traps aren't as efficient as I would like here, but they work for that part of the map that I was on. We no longer have the boss coming through this location, so we're gonna sell these.
The enemy army is attacking on another front.
We're gonna move all the enemies through here.
Well placed, I think. Crude, but I suppose we must stop at nothing. I would rather feel my enemy's last breath upon my cheek. Well placed, I think. They've broken through a gate.
Okay. Other than those guys, we should be completely safe here. I do want to add this and this here. And right around the time they get towards the Guardian, a bit of slows. I didn't add enough slows over here. Entirely my fault. That's what we wanted. Everything else needs to be saved. At about 7,000 coin there. All for what we have back here. And this is so that we can do this.
Steel and magic are a poor substitute for claw and tooth.
And I don't think anything heavy is going to be coming from here, but
Look out! Our defenses have been breached again.
about what we're looking. Okay. We're also going to want to try to save a bit of coin because we have a new gate opening up and we want to fortify the topmost defenses.
Destroy it.
We also want to get down there and destroy that. There's a couple of grenadier knolls that are going to be
Broken through a gate.
starting up top.
Feel the teeth of winter.
Well done. The unstable rift has been destroyed.
Those are good. And we're not going to be able to take that guy out for the bonus coin. We do need to get behind these though.
Under attack.
Wall building PhD should pretty much prevent us from having to worry about the barricades at all. A little bit of burning, make sure the trolls aren't generating as much health as they otherwise would be. That'll stop the shields from blocking any damage. You want to try to prevent as much mitigation of your damage as possible. Trolls have quite a bit of it with the ability to heal if they're not being damaged after a good period of time, and also with just having a ton of HP and usually leading with shields anyway. Alright, we're just gonna... Now, should have froze first, so I would prevent that hit, but that's fine. We'll just take a quick run through the rift. We have a good amount of coin, so we can start beefing up some of our trap areas right now.
On another front.
And we don't have the bottom gate opening yet, but it will be opening soon. So we want to be prepared for that. Now, these guys aren't going to be fire enemies at first, but eventually they will. A little bit of fire damage spread out over the entire crew should still be helpful. But that took up pretty much all of our coin.
No trespassing. You will pay for this.
And for the most part, the situation is almost self-sustaining now. One more of these should be pretty nice. We could even probably do this. That should help. I don't expect any of the heavy ogres to really make their way out of the upper left gate once they start spawning. They should just die. What we do have to worry about pretty much perpetually is this leftmost gate and the bottom one. The right gate should ultimately take care of itself by running itself through the gauntlet of traps that we have set up over here. And there's the fire ogres. That'll test whether or not your setup actually works out.
Has entered the battlefield.
They also come with a Lysander. That makes you have to actually pay attention to it. I don't have any BGH ballistas back here, and I think I removed the ones up here as well. Should have anyway. So you want to sort of make Lysander a priority. You can do that by focusing on him specifically. He doesn't have a ton of HP for a boss, which is great, and those ogres should take all of the damage they need to die right there. So now we should be sitting pretty. Ballistas and such really cleaning up most of the enemies. Now we have to worry about this place. So
I do not love these, but I suppose I love our enemy less. Well placed, I think.
all right, we can actually, yeah.
Steel and magic are a poor substitute for claw and tooth.
Can't slow them once they try to get over here, but actually we can move that back and then replace the slow there. That should be all right.
I suppose it will do its duty. I would
Put this
rather
here.
feel my enemy's last breath upon my cheek.
Place a bunch of these.
But I suppose we must stop at nothing. Our barricades are under attack. If we must.
Oh, the fire ogres actually made it that far. That's kind of problematic. Not too much though. So if I'd have moved that back, it would have been a lot better at stopping these guys. And I should have placed those ballistas probably a bit further back as well. I got the AoE on the frost shots here, so that we should be able to slow multiple enemies if they're grouped up. And you. And remember that anytime an enemy gets frozen, they start taking the bonus damage from Tundra too, which is good. That is absolutely what we want. We're gonna pop that here.
Well placed, I think.
We can get that going. We only have these gates to deal with.
Steel and magic are a poor substitute for claw and tooth. But I suppose it will.
Definitely want a bit of that.
Watch out! An unstable rift is opening.
And of course,
and destroy it.
they give you more unstable rifts to shoot at. The number of unstable rift locations on this map is pretty high, and since they are pretty much random, you can sometimes get some unstable rift locations that are very, very not advantageous. A lot of fire ogres. That first barricade is really just for spacing, but I'm pretty sure it's going to go down right now unless a lot of those ogres die really quickly. They should die about right there, yeah. Heart pierced. Okay. Not sure why they just whiffed, but okay. And you're done. Alright, now this little gauntlet that we've built up here should actually be in effect.
But I suppose I love our enemy less.
Our enemies are breaking through elsewhere!
I would rather feel my enemy's last breath upon my cheek.
You can kind of just babysit this area, and after the wave ends, just sell the
Spring must one day stop coming for us all.
sell the BGH ballista.
A seasoned soldier is a fox among hares. The stick.
Well done. The unstable rift has been destroyed.
Okay.
Crude, but I suppose we must stop at nothing.
I'll sell these. Place them with these. And if you absolutely want to, you can place a few more of these out. Those should grab anybody else that tries to walk up here. But I think you won't have to worry about much of that anymore. Those guys should basically be eaten alive by the traps that we have out now. And pretty much good to go with everything that we have up here. This is really where we want to focus our attention now. Before it shows up. It comes up here, so it's really not that big of an issue. If you want to put the BGH ballista back up here, you can do that. But we are here ourselves, so it would be best to make use of that effect. Hit him with a nice freeze while he's on fire. Try to maximize all the damage by waiting for that freeze effect to kick in, and before blasting him with the icicle assault. Alright, then we're going to come up here and make this place pretty much steadfast. Our main goal now is just to keep everything dead. So the left gate is our weakest gate here. Just because of the way the stage is designed, the only thing you really have to place down there is wall traps, and because of the way the stage is designed, you can't really afford to bring nothing but wall traps. Bad shots for me. Okay. The line's not that bad if you're playing a melee character, mainly because he really doesn't deal that much damage if you have a decent health pool. I mean, that's kind of how health pools work, right? The larger it is, the less you have to worry about taking damage. But also because generally he's pretty easy to kill if you have some bursty damage abilities. Make sure you keep the things that will actually harm your rift. No, dead.
A soldier fights as they are trained.
Okay, these guys will probably be the last to die. If you kill them first, you should actually make it out of this map relatively quickly. Everything else you have traps to kill. Those traps should do a good job. And you won't have much else to worry about. Okay. Everything around here should ultimately be getting ready to die.
Our barricades are under attack.
However, so
There we go.
blood the road may be, without victory there can be no prize.
So that's pretty solid. Not the best run in the world, but again, Tundra's weak spots are really having a very small amount of mobility as a melee character, and also like when he's near an area, it takes a little bit of time for him to set up his damage. Like you have to hit enemies a few times until they freeze, or use one of his abilities to trigger a freeze, and then that's when your damage really starts to shine. Whereas other characters really just come in, lay down the damage, and then they move on. So it's much more of an ability rotation with a Tundra, and not everything is always going to be on cooldown. So managing your cooldowns in those situations is pretty important. That said, if you are playing with other players, you have some other teammates there, and they have the ability to either assist via dealing cold damage, such as you know, you having a Hogarth on the team, or you know, in some cases a an ice elemental Zoe, you will be able to deal quite a bit of damage, just, you know, piggybacking off of the ice damage that they're already dealing. And you have the ability to diversify your trap setup so that you can use more ice traps, use that to your advantage. But Tundra's pretty solid character. I think he shines much better in multiplayer than he does solo, but ultimately fun to play. So I hope you guys enjoyed these runs. I'll probably move on to another character so I can showcase them. Not sure who. Probably Ivy. I've heard a lot of requests for Ivy, but there's still a lot of the other casts that I have yet to do. So you guys let me know in the comments what you want to see, and we'll get to that once we have the opportunity. Other than Endless, I know you guys want to see some Endless, and I'll get to that once I am sort of done with these character videos, just because there's a good amount of recording and stuff that needs to go into those, and I need to clear up some hard drive space. Either way, thanks as always for tuning in. I significantly appreciate it. We're up to 3,700 subscribers. We're going into 2019 with that number, and it's amazing. I never thought I'd have anybody actually following this channel, so you know, seeing that number rise is just more reason for me to come back and do even more things for you guys and find out what you want to see. I also have other things that I want to talk about and set up for the channel, which I'm going to be working on. You'll probably see some other tower defense games go up in the near future, as well as some other stuff. So, you know, ultimately, let me know what you guys think about the content going up, and of course you'll see more of it. Again, I hope you guys have a great year going forward. Going into 2019, I hope your 2018 has been great as well, and take care of yourselves and have a good one, folks. Make 2019 a good one.